uh, never wait for anybody in this university. We set a time and we say that's how we go. Huh? So thank you all for coming. 23rd March meant a lot to people back then in 1931. And if I understand correctly, and I'm a student of history, so we know that the history has been replaced by a history. So a history that I share with you now is that the ideas that that particular group was representing, which was known as the Hindustan Socialist Republican Army Association, were the ideas that probably should have had a long life, considering that there is mass poverty in this country. But those ideas seem to have lost their way. And worse than the ideas losing their way is the fact that the organizations which were supposed to stand by those ideas seem to have lost their way even more so. With none other than Deng Xiaoping telling us that it doesn't matter whether the color of the cat is white or black insofar as it catches rats. So it's pragmatism everywhere. And in all that pragmatism, only few have the need for an utopia, it seems to me. And among those few is the speaker of the day, Professor Chaman Lal. Few words on him. He is a Punjabi, like Bhagat Singh. Like you and I would call him Bhagat Singh, back there in Punjab, they don't call him Bhagat Singh, they call him Bhagat Singh. So he is from the land of Bhagat Singh. He is a scholar of Hindi literature, done his MPhil, PhD, etc., etc. Taught for a long time in universities, including JNU, has had the opportunity to get some foreign assignments and things. He finally, apart from his literary theoretical work, he got interested in these revolutionary leaders and their writings. In this country today, there are few who can be as knowledgeable about that set of people and their writings than Professor Chaman Lal. We are glad that he is with us. Thank you for coming. May I now invite you to start your...
Rupendra Yadav, a friend of decades. So I'm happy that he organized this talk today in Aziz Premji University in Bangalore. In this part of the country in southern India, though in Tamil Nadu, Bhagat Singh is very popular since 1931, when Periyar E. Ramaswamy Naikar wrote an editorial in his Tamil weekly Kudai Arsu, as early as on 29th March 1931, immediately after the execution of Bhagat Singh. And it's the Tamil Nadu which has the credit to get Why I Am an Atheist translated and published even before Punjabi and Hindi. It was written in English. It was published on 27th September 1931 in the People of Lahore. But it was Periyar who got it translated by Comrade P. Jivanandam, a legendary communist of Tamil Nadu, and published as a booklet in Tamil way back in 1934. And since then it has run into more than 30 editions, one of the most popular tract in Tamil Nadu. So before I formally begin, I would like to present this one, my book, Understanding Bhagat Singh, for Aziz Premji University, who has organized this talk. I request Professor Bhavendra Yadav, please come and receive. And that. Now, friends, I think many of you would like to have some elementary details of Bhagat Singh's life. So let me begin with some basic details of his life. Then we can, come over to his thought and his ideas, and also his relevance in today's society, particularly Indian society. Yeah, first slide. Oh, actually, this side. From where to move? Can you come here? Yeah.
This one, sir. Down arrows.
This is down. Okay, yeah. Okay. You see, Bhagat Singh was born in a family of patriots. One of his ancestors was part of Maharaja Ranjit Singh's army even, long ago. But in the present times, his grandfather, Arjun Singh, he didn't go to jail, but he was a great nationalist. And that's very interesting, one thing which is a sort of surprise, that he was an Arya Samajist and a Sikh, which are contradictory in faith, which both groups have a lot of clashes also, even during those times in Amritsar and other places. But he was having faith in both the contradictory faiths. So he used to have Havan in his house, as well as he will, honor Guru Granth Sahib and Sikh traditions. What it means that there was a sort of very liberality, or a sort of, sign of composite culture in the house itself. He has 3 sons. Bhagat Singh was born in this family on 28th September 1907. This is the house in Chak number 105, that is in Pakistan, which was called Chak number 105 Lalpur Bange, because all you know from media is that his village is Khatkar Kalan. All you know from media is that he was cremated at Husainiwala. Both are wrong. Well, his ancestral village is Khatkar, that is correct. But he was not born in that village, and neither he lived at that village. He was born in this house in Chak number 105, which is, the name of district was Lalpur, which after partition was renamed as Faisalabad. Now in Pakistan it's known as Faisalabad. In those days, British government has tried to develop 2 districts, Lalpur and Mintgumri. Both have now different names. And a lot of Punjab peasants were offered land at a very cheap prices. So hundreds of peasants have migrated to those areas, which included Bhagat Singh's family also. Arjun Singh had 3 sons. The eldest one was Kishan Singh, who was father of Bhagat Singh. The second son was Ajit Singh, and the third was Swaran Singh. The family had a very rich family, and all the 3 were put to very high education, and they studied in Saindas DAV school Jalandhar. Later on, Ajit Singh went even to Bareilly College to do a law course, and he did it. Kishan Singh had in and out of jail. He was a Congress activist, Congress party activist. And he was very close to Lala Lajpat Rai also, the very tall leader of those days. And Ajit Singh and Lala Lajpat Rai, his uncle, elder uncle, they were also very close, and they had an organization called Muhabbataan-e-Watan, Love of the Nation. And in 1907, Lala Lajpat Rai and Ajit Singh, they had agitation in favor of peasants who were in heavy debt as they are today. You can see the conditions of 1907 and 2015 that peasants have been going through a lot of. So for that, they were sent to Mandalay, is a place in Burma, Mandalay jail, and Lala Lajpat Rai was released after 2 years, but Ajit Singh was exiled, and 38 years he lived in exile in Argentina, in South American countries, and in many more countries. And he returned to India only in March 47 to die on the dawn of 15th August 1947 around 3 a.m. in the morning, after listening to Pandit Nehru's Trust with Destiny speech that India is free now. So that's how he breathed his last. And his younger uncle, Swaran Singh, he was again in jail most of the time, and he contracted, tuberculosis in jail, and he died at the age of 24 only, almost at the age of Bhagat Singh. And his widow, Bhagat Singh Chachi Hukum Kaur, survived, and his elder Chachi, Harnam Kaur, she was like a widow. She lived without her husband for 38 long years, And there is a joke that when, a joke or real joke, that when Ajit Singh had returned to India, and when he saw a woman in the family, and he asked, who is she? Which was his wife. So that is the kind of life this patriot family had. And Bhagat Singh was 2 years old when his elder uncle, Lala Lajpat Rai, was, this is Ajit Singh, and this is his young age photograph. And this is the place. He actually died in Dalhousie since he was very ill, and he was living in Dalhousie with his wife at the time of his death. Pandit Nehru has met him when he has returned today. Actually, it was Pandit Nehru's efforts that he returned to country. So this is a memorial built for him in Dalhousie. And, when Bhagat Singh was a child, at the age of 7 or 8 years, Ghadar movement took place in India, and Kartar Singh Sarabha, which was not only Bhagat Singh's hero, he was Ghadar Party Hero also, who was hanged at the age of 19 years plus only in 1915. So he used to visit their family, and Bhagat Singh's father, Kishan Singh, in those days gave 1,000 rupees, to Ghadar Party as his contribution. And you young people should know that those days 1,000 rupees could be equal to 1 lakh rupees of today. So that was the kind of family, and it was a risk. And actually British judge has used a very harsh words for Bhagat Singh's father, that mischievous man. He has written in judgment as mischievous man gave 1,000 rupees to Ghadar Party. Now when Bhagat Singh was, say, about 12 years old, the biggest massacre during British period in India took place in Jallianwala Bagh, Amritsar, where on 13th April 1919, when there was a strong agitation against Rowlatt Act or Rowlatt Bill at that time. So General Dyer, many of you see film, you might have been seeing in films also, and Odwyer was the governor of Punjab. Dyer was the sort of, at that time, in charge of Amritsar. He ordered firing, and more than 1,000 people were massacred in that Jallianwala Bagh. After that, Jallianwala Bagh is no more a physical entity, it's a phrasal entity. Wherever there are massacres by the police or anywhere, it is told even Hashimpura, this Meerut massacre, somebody wrote that it was worse than Jallianwala Bagh, like that. So Bhagat Singh from his school went one day, one morning, fine morning. Lahore and Amritsar are just like twin cities. Had there been no partition, they would have been one city. So this is just 30 kilometers away from each other. But now they are in two countries. So he went in the morning to Jallianwala Bagh and returned in the evening, didn't go home, didn't take food. When he returned, he was very sad. And his younger sister asked him, "Where were you, brother, all the day?" So then he had a small bottle which was filled with sand and with blood. And she asked, "What is it?" So he said that I had gone to Amritsar, Jallianwala Bagh, and I have brought this sand filled with blood. So that was how he was shaping into. At 2-year-old, his uncle being, exiled. At 7-year-old, he was seeing Kartar Singh Sarabha, which was to be later his hero. And the family, since it was a well-educated family, there were a number of books in the family and journals which used to come. And at the age of 6-7 years, he was reading all those journals, etc. So when you will later realize how a 23-year-old young man could rise to such intellectual heights, so then you have to see this background. So from the age of 6-7 years, he was reading journals and books relating to freedom struggle, etc. Now, I'm just confused. Then in 1921, Nankana Sahib, which is a world famous, Sikh religious place where Guru Nanak's birth took place, that is just 45 kilometers from his birthplace in Lalpur, Bange, and every year, thousands of people go there. It was under the control of Mahants, and they were misusing these places by drinking wine there and violating the sanctity of the. So there was a great agitation against this kind of Mahants. And in this Nankana Sahib, one Sikh, which plaque is given here, Lakshman Singh, was burnt alive, and 100 or more than 100 people were massacred by the gundas of the Mahants. Mahant was being patronized by British colonial people. So against that, there was a agitation going on, strong agitation. Jathas of Sikh faithful people used to cross through Bhagat Singh village. And at the age of 14 years in 1921, he learned Punjabi language in Gurmukhi script, which was not taught in schools. In school, he was learning only Hindi, Urdu, and Sanskrit, because Urdu was the medium of instruction in those days, schools, and Hindi and Sanskrit, because of his influence of his grandfather, he was studying. But he learned Punjabi Gurmukhi, and he wore black turban at that time. Let me tell you one thing, Bhagat Singh never wore yellow turban, which you all the time keep on seeing in media, TV, etc., newspaper. Never in his life. He wore yellow or so-called saffron turban. Never. All through life, he wore only white turban or in protest yellow or black turban when he was protesting. And one of his brothers of his grandfather, Surjan Singh, he was a British tout. British had told him to control this thing. So he said, "I will not allow anyone to pass through my village." But Bhagat Singh took up his challenge against his own granduncle and saw to it that they are served well, and he will serve them food, etc., while crossing Nankana Sahib. And, that is the, demarcating kind of incident in their life. Not only Bhagat Singh's life, in most of the Indian revolutionaries' life. In 1921 end, Mahatma Gandhi started non-cooperation movement against the British. And it was a non-violent movement. What happened on 4th February 1922, an incident took place in Chauri Chaura. This is a village near Gorakhpur. There, as you know, police is repressive as early as today. So that repression on people were so enraged by their repression, they were beating up, they were killing people, that they burnt the police station, this Chauri Chaura police station, in which some 20 policemen were burnt alive at the time. Mahatma Gandhi, without going into the facts of the case, simply withdrew the non-cooperation movement, that people are turning violent, so I cannot run a violent movement. I am a preacher of non-violence. Later on, his own son Devdas Gandhi, who went in a fact-finding team, he himself, put in his report that it was police repression which has caused this incident, and not the people's, common poor people's, sort of a thought of action. It was not a thought of action. It was a sort of reaction to police repression. And British government tried to hang 172 people for that. And the country's top nationalist liars at that time, Mohan Malviya, etc. Incidentally, most of the people in the Chauri Chaura incident which were going to be hanged were Muslims. And it was, with the effort of those people, ultimately 19 people were hanged. Others' death sentence was waived. Now, this was the incident which affected, at that time, Chandrasekhar Azad, who was 1 year older to Bhagat Singh. He was studying in Banaras. He was studying Sanskrit. And he participated, and Bhagat Singh used to go with his father, Kishan Singh, to all the Congress sessions. He was as much inspired by Mahatma Gandhi as was other young people at that time. And Chandrasekhar Azad faced 15 lashes on his back by shouting Mahatma Gandhi ki jai. And his whole back was bloodied with that flogging, and he refused to accept even medicine from British doctor. He just threw away that medicine, that I don't want to have medicine from this. But then both reacted so strongly that they thought that after this withdrawal of the movement, one cannot have any hope from the Congress to get the country free. So they thought that only a revolutionary activity can make the country free. So that's how, after 22, their thinking changed. This is a memorial built to Chauri Chaura, martyrs. Now we will call them martyrs. And Indira Gandhi herself inaugurated that memorial in 1993. And it was 71 years later when they were recognized as, freedom fighters and martyrs for the country. Now, then Bhagat Singh, Bhagat Charan Vora, Sukhdev, Yashpal, these were all students in National College, Lahore. In those days, in all parts of the country, national schools, national colleges, even national universities were established to counter the colonial British education system. So Kashi Vidyapith was established in Banaras. Mahatma Gandhi also established Vidyapith in Ahmedabad, Gujarat Vidyapith, and National College was established by Lala Lajpat Rai in Lahore. And there were a number of national schools. In one of the national schools near Aligarh, at village Shadipur, 60 miles away, Bhagat Singh even served as headmaster for about 6 months. That will come to tell you that that time there were people in Kanpur. There was trade union movement which was very strong in Kanpur. And that time Bijay Kumar Sinha, Jaydev Kapoor, Shiv Verma, they were all either students there or activists there. And Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi was bringing out Pratap, Hindi daily. Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi was a very eminent Congress leader. So in 1923 around, and there was a pressure on Bhagat Singh by his family to get him married because the whole family was going into this national movement and they thought they can probably contain him by marrying him. And Bhagat Singh ran away from the house and he wrote a letter to his father that when I was born, there is a sanskar of Jineu, and since his father was, apart from being Sikh, he was a Arya Samajist also. So he said that my grandfather has gifted me to the nation. At that time, his grandfather literally said that one of this child is, given to the nation. So he will be for the nation only. So he said, I am going to fulfill my grandfather's promise, which was done. So he ran away. But then he got a letter from his history teacher, Jayachandra Vidyalankar, who was a professor in National College, and for Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi. So Ganesh Shankar, Maulana Hasrat Mohani was also in Kanpur at that time, very eminent progressive Urdu poet and a Congress activist. And he was friend of his father, Kishan Singh. And at Kanpur, you know, he worked in Pratap paper and wrote under the name of Balwant. That was his pen name or fictitious name. And incidentally, when he was a student in school, I want to share with you his writing part. He wrote an essay in competition. That essay was the language and script of Punjab, Punjab ki bhasha aur lipi ki samasya. And he fetched, it fetched him 50 rupees award in those days. So you can say 5,000 rupees of today's. So Bhimsen Vidyalankar was bringing out a journal and it was published in that. So you can see that he was writing from his very young age. It could be 15 years or something like that. And there he was writing in Pratap and came into contact with revolutionaries of earlier Bengal movement, Jugantar and Shilin. They were also based in, then they decided to form, and Chandrasekhar Azad, etc., everyone joined in that, to form HRA, which is full form is Hindustan Republican Association. And later on, actually, his father sent a message also, contacted him that they will not force him to marry and his grandmother is very ill, so he should return. And he returned after a few months. So the issue of marriage was settled finally. So not to force on him. So yeah, in Kanpur he worked with them, and then when he was working at Kanpur, then Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi thought that he is being shadowed by police. So then he sent him to Shadipur village, which is a national school there, and he stayed there for about 6 months as the headmaster of that school. And it was just 17 years of age at that time. I had visited that place, Shadipur, and people still remember him. That their third, fourth generation, they have listened stories from their fathers, grandfathers, and great-grandfathers. So after HRA, there was some actions, and one action was Kakori rail dacoity. Incidentally, this HRA distributed a pamphlet throughout the country, which became very popular. It was called The Revolutionary, or The Revolution. This was distributed on 1st January 1925 throughout the country. So Shindranath Sanyal was the main spirit in organizing, who has been active in other Bengal movements. And in 1925 itself, this Kakori rail dacoity took place on 9th August 1925. Bhagat Singh was not part of that. Chandrasekhar Azad was part of it, who was never arrested. In that case, you all know those very popular names: Ram Prasad Bismil, Ashfaqullah, Rajendranath Laidi, and Roshan Singh. They were hanged in 1927. In 1927, 19 December, they were hanged in that case. But Bhagat Singh was continuously thinking. In Lahore, there was Dwarkadas Library, and its librarian Rajaram Shastri was their good friend. And Dwarkadas Library was getting latest publication even from Soviet Union, books of Marx, Lenin, and all advanced thinking books were coming to that library. And he has become voracious reader in that very early age. And he has started reading books on Marxism, Soviet Revolution, and other. But they were more inspired at that time by Irish revolutionaries, Ireland revolutionaries, and also by Garibaldi and Mazzini in Italy. You know, later on when they formed Naujawan Bharat Sabha, it was inspired by Mazzini's Young Italy. So Young Italy, there's a youth organization in Italy, and they thought that they will form this organization in India also. And while working in HRA, they thought, and it's recorded also, that we should form mass organizations. So Naujawan Bharat Sabha, which generally is referred as formed in 1926, but Comrade Ramchandra, who was General Secretary, President of Naujawan Bharat Sabha, he, in his history of HSRA and Naujawan Bharat Sabha, has written that we probably formed Naujawan Bharat Sabha in late 24. At best, you can say December 24. But it was known to came into existence in 1926, its activities. And Bhagat Singh was part of that. He was secretary or propaganda secretary. Bhakti Charan Vora was part of that. Now, Lala Kedarnath Sehgal was its president. He was a Congress activist. So in those days, Congress activists and revolutionaries didn't have the antagonistic relations. Well, they were critical of Gandhi, but most of the Congress activists were very sympathetic and close to these young revolutionaries also. During those days, and he was writing, there was a paper in Punjabi called Kirti that was brought out by Ghadarites returning from America. It was brought out in Punjabi as well as in Urdu. Bhagat Singh was part of their editorial staff and he will write sometime. In fact, one of the earliest writing is either in 1926 or 27 when he wrote an article, Holi ke din rakt ke chheete, in Hindi. The blood, drops on the occasion of Holi. That was referring to, in that year, 6 Babbar Akalis, Babbar revolutionary Akalis, were hanged on Holi Day. So that he wrote that. So from his experiences, he was coming to a view that this kind of activities, Kakori rail dacoity or such things, cannot take us very far. And he was getting more and more fascinated, apart from Irish revolutionaries and Italian revolutionaries, more and more fascinated from Soviet revolution in Russia, which was led by, Lenin. And he was getting a lot of books about it. Now, they decided, let me move this also. Yeah. So this story I have already told you. These are Ramprasad Bismil, Ashfaqullah, and Rajendra Lahiri, and Roshan Singh, and Chandrasekhar Azad, who was never arrested. Yeah. And then, at the initiative of Bhagat Singh, they held a meeting of revolutionaries on 8th and 9th September 1928 at Firoz Shah Kotla grounds in Delhi. There, Bhagat Singh proposed that we should clear our perspective. What is our perspective? What we are fighting for and what kind of society we are, imagining. So then they said that socialism is our ideal. So we want to build a society which will be socialist in nature. So they inserted this word socialist in their organization, Hindustan Socialist Republican Association, and its military wing, Hindustan Socialist Republican Army. Chandrasekhar Azad was not part of this meeting. There were 10 people who were part of this meeting. Out of these, 2 turned out to be later approvers in Lahore conspiracy case and became instrumental in getting Bhagat Singh hanged also. They were Faninder Ghosh and Manmohan Banerjee. Both were from Bihar. And Bhagat Singh and Sukhdev were appointed coordinators for the whole country. No, not Sukhdev. Bhagat Singh and Vijay Kumar Sinha. Sukhdev was appointed Punjab in charge. Shiv Varma was appointed UP in charge. Different state in charge were appointed. There was 7-member central committee of this HSRA group at that time. Chandrasekhar Azad has agreed to their views, although he was not present in the meeting, but he told that I agree with what Bhagat Singh says. So that's where the new phase starts in their life, in their revolutionary life. Earlier revolutionaries were just imagining India to be chained, by British, and generally you will see the pictures in media, a woman with sari with chains, put up chains. That is the kind of thing. So there they changed the perception that it's not the Bharat Mata, chained Bharat Mata, which they are trying to get liberated. They are trying to get liberated country from exploitation of all kinds, whether it was colonial exploitation, whether it was exploitation by local feudal lords and capitalists. So that was the perception which at that time changed in 1928 also. But what happened was that after this thing, immediately, and incidentally, let me tell you, after this meeting, Bhagat Singh shaved himself. You know, what you have seen, the first two photographs, one with hat and one with white turban, they are real photographs of Bhagat Singh. So prior to cutting his hair, he was always in that shape. And when they decided that he has to go underground because his face is known to police, so he went to Firozpur where one of his comrades, Dr. Gayapashad Sukal, has opened a medical shop, etc. Just excuse, and there he cut his hair. Now, later on, they had visited Betia, where this Faninder Ghosh would turn out to be a prover later. So, etc. was there. What happened that Simon Commission came to India, and Simon Commission was going to various places, and Indian nationalist movement, boycotted Simon Commission. And revolutionaries also played a big role. Revolutionaries in Lahore had a very love-hate relationship with Lala Lajpat Rai. Lala Lajpat Rai, which was close to his father, to whom they would consider as their father-like figure, Pita Saman, and he will also say they are my sons man. Like both of them, attacked each other very vehemently. When Lala Lajpat Rai turned into a communal, so he tried to become communal in his writing as well as in his thing. So Bhagat Singh attacked him, and his comrades attacked him. That they attacked his communal perception. So, but when this Simon Commission came, they thought Lala Lajpat Rai is one of the tallest leaders of the country. So he is the one in Lahore particularly who should lead the procession against Simon Commission. So they went to him and convinced him that you have to lead the procession. And they were part of that procession. They were trying to protect him also. So the big procession took place in Lahore on 30th October 1928. But that was lathi charge at the order of Scott, who was SSP at that time of Lahore, means District Superintendent Police he was. And the lathis, actual lathis, were blown by Saunders, who was ASP, Assistant Police at that time, Assistant Superintendent Police. Now, that time, Lajpat Rai got injured. There are photographs which shows his back with the lashes of lathis, with the deep scars, etc. And he expired on 17th November 1928, about 18-19 days after this incident. There was one Chittaranjan Das from Bengal. He was very staunch nationalist, but very pro-revolutionary. He has died, and his widow, he has fought the case of Khudiram Bose, etc. in Bengal courts. His widow Basanti Devi, she made a stirring appeal that have the youth of the country died? Such a tall leader of the country have been killed by a minor police officer. Would they not avenge this national shame? That time, Bhagat Singh, etc., took up that challenge, and they held meetings, and they thought that although we have left the path of violence, but it's the issue of national. In fact, Pandit Nehru wrote in his autobiography that how Bhagat Singh became so much popular, and he has referred to it because he avenged this incident as a sort of avenging national shame. So that's how he became so popular in the whole country. Then, that incident took place on 17th December, just exactly 1 month after Lala Lajpat Rai died. So they killed Saunders. I have visited that place in Lahore. I have seen that office, and in front of that office, there used to be DAV College, which is now Government Islamia College. And the decision was to kill Scott. However, Scott didn't come to office that day, and Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, and Jayagopal, and these three were in the action, and Chandrasekhar Azad was overseeing the action from a little away. And Rajguru was always in haste, so he will not wait. He didn't have any patience. So Jayagopal was to identify when he saw a British police officer coming out. So immediately, gave indication. Like this, you had the... So Rajguru immediately shot him. But when Bhagat Singh saw his face, it was not Scott, it was Saunders. He tried to shout Panditji for Chandrasekhar Azad. Panditji is Scott nahi hai. But by that time, he was already shot. So then Bhagat Singh also put 3-4 more shots into his body so that he doesn't survive. So that's how this happened. And after that, in a very interesting, I'm telling this, in a narrative style, so that you have some, do not get much bored. They came out of Lahore in a very dramatic fashion, And there was on 18 December 1928, there were red posters all over Lahore. The Lala Lajpat Rai's death avenged, national shame avenged. And that made British wild. That, what is this happening? And they were trying to, encircle Lahore like anything, like a military fort. But still, within 2-3 days, maybe by 20th December or so, they came out of Lahore, which way? Chandrasekhar Azad became a sort of sadhu, and Tilak with all that. And Durga Bhabhi, wife of Bhakti Chand Vora, who had having 2-year-old child with her, and Rajguru was made as a servant. Bhagat Singh was a Saab. The hat photo which you see, that was how to escape from Lahore. And with Durga Bhabhi, with the child, that this Saab ja rahe hain. In the first class, they took the train from Lahore to Calcutta. And Durga Bhabhi's husband, Bhakti Chand Vora, was already in Calcutta. And he is the one who actually received them at Calcutta. And he said to Durga Bhabhi that I feel proud. You see the kind of conservative thoughts coming in our society these days, that how in those days a husband will tolerate that his wife should become the wife of other man, even, in artificial form. But then he said, I feel proud of you. You have performed a great, And in Calcutta, he attended Congress session also. He met Jatin Das, who was later to be martyred, invited him to North India to train revolutionaries to make bombs. By that time, it was clear to them that our taking the path of mass movements is, blocked for us. Well, others may later go on this path, but for this group of people, this path is blocked. We cannot do that. So they wanted to perform as many spectacular actions as much to raise people's consciousness, And those days, public safety bill and other trade disputes bill, they were worst anti-people bills, as you can see the land acquisition bill of today. These kind of anti-people bills are in continuation during British period as well as in the later period. So that time, people were, feeling very oppressed by those things. So then these people, they were so well-read people. Bhagat Singh has already read about French revolutionary traditions, and he has read about Vaillant's action in 1893, which when he threw a bomb in French Parliament, when the Queen of France told hungry people that if you don't get bread, then eat apple. That is the thing which told and which enrages people. Those who cannot afford bread, how they will afford apple? This is the kind of thing. So Vaillant threw a bomb in French Parliament, and his slogan was to make the deaf hear. And that is the same action was performed by Bhagat Singh on 8th April 1929 in Delhi Central Assembly, which is now called Parliament. And they had prepared a leaflet, the title of which was, again it was a red leaflet, to make the deaf hear, which later became the title of S. Irfan Habib's book also, To Make the Deaf Hear, which he has written on Bhagat Singh, good book. So then, in this period, Jatin Das came to Agra, they established bomb factories, he trained this revolutionary to make bombs, and then they prepared, there were factories in Saharanpur, Agra, and 2-3 more places, Rohtak also. So Professor Bhupendra Yadav comes from that region. So Rohtak was also a bomb factory at those days. So then these bombs were made in a technique which were meant only to, explode but without harming anyone, without killing or harming anyone. So these bombs were thrown with the slogans. Those slogans have become now history. Those slogans were Inqilab Zindabad and Samrajyavad Ka Nash Ho. That was in Hindi, but which were international slogans. Long live revolution and down with imperialism. With these two slogans, they threw bombs at near the benches. Only 3-4 benches were broken in that place, and few people got minor scratches. No one was harmed with those things. But those leaflets were thrown in Parliament like anything, and everybody was having, and they didn't run away because it was their planned action to get arrested. And British officers were too scared to go near them because they were having pistols also. 1 or 2 shots were also fired in the air. So when officer was hesitant, so Bhagat Singh put the pistol on the table. He said, why are you afraid? So then, of course, they were arrested, etc. These two slogans replaced the earlier national slogan of Vande Mataram. So Vande Mataram was the earlier national slogan. Incidentally, this slogan was not coined by Bhagat Singh. In Inqilab Zindabad also, this was coined by Maulana Hasrat Mohani. So Maulana Hasrat Mohani, who is a very eminent poet and was very eminent Urdu poet and nationalist, his son-in-law, Nafis Ahmed Siddiqui, is a Supreme Court lawyer. He is presently fighting this Lahore conspiracy case in Lahore High Court to get them this judgment in which Bhagat Singh, etc. were hanged to be invalid judgment. So on law points, and that's very interesting for you to know, this case is on Lahore High Court, and these Indian lawyers led by Nafis Ahmed Siddiqui, they are fighting that case to get them acquitted posthumously. That they want to set the history, historic wrongs right. So that's another story. So after that incident, when they were arrested, and Bhagat Singh probably used the same pistol with which Saunders was killed, this made British very happy. Although with this incident, they became world famous. And how they used media in those days, they had got themselves clicked 4 days before the bomb throwing incident. In Kashmiri Gate, one photographer shop was there, and on 3rd April, Bhagat Singh and Dutt, both, this most popular hat photograph, that is the real photograph clicked by Shamlal, photographer of that Kashmiri Gate. And they had prepared press statement before going to the assembly to throw bombs, which was supplied to the media in advance. And the same evening, Hindustan Times of Delhi carried the evening paper with giving the whole thing. And there was one correspondent of Statesman, Durgadas Khanna. He took such precaution that if I send this news to Calcutta office, they will kill it because of British influence. And Statesman was a British-owned paper also. He sent the news straight to London. So it's London office, and then that's how it got carried next day. So that is the kind of thing, they were doing. And with this, this bill was actually defeated in the Central Assembly. And Jinnah has spoken against this bill. So many nationalist leaders have spoken against these bills. And British government was forcing it as an ordinance. As you know, present governments are forcing bills which are not passed by Parliament, whether land acquisition bill, etc., through ordinances. So this ordinance Raj is also a British colonial tradition, which is followed by our Desi, Hakims also. And that's why Bhagat Singh wrote in his letter to young political workers, which he wrote on 2nd February 1931, just 1.5 months before his execution, that what difference does it make to Indian people whether they are ruled by Lord Reading or Lord Irwin or Sir Purushottam Das Thakkar or by Sir Tej Bahadur Sapru? He took 2 names from British colonial side and 2 mostly corporate representatives from India. That how does it matter? It is the system which has to be changed. And we are fighting to smash this colonial exploitation system. Whether, it doesn't matter whether that exploitation is done by white hands or brown people. So we are fighting for the rights of peasants and workers. Now, I would like to come to, let me complete this. Bombs in Delhi Assembly, and this also I told you that how this slogans became important. And now third part of their life comes, which is very important. Actually, there are sometime some publisher asked me, what are the main, landmarks of their life. So Saunders murder is one, Delhi Bomb Assembly is another. Third one is more important, which is given less attention. That is struggles inside the jail. Actually, Bhagat Singh and his comrades, when they were sentenced to life, transportation for life in Delhi Assembly case on 12th June 1929, they were transported to Bhagat Singh to Miawali jail in Punjab and B.K. Dutt to Lahore jail. On the way, in the train itself, they were being provided European prisoners' facilities in Delhi jail till the time the trial was conducted. But immediately after conviction, they were denied all facilities. And they immediately decided to go on hunger strike. And immediately on 15th June or 14th June night itself, they proceeded on hunger strike. That hunger strike, continued for a record of 114 days, till 4th October 29. For 1 month or 25 days, this hunger strike was not known to outside world, because Bhagat Singh was sent singly to Miawali jail, the most notorious jail, even today in Pakistan. So nobody knew. Only on 10th July 1929, when the Lahore conspiracy case or Saunders murder case trial began, in Lahore, he was brought to Lahore, and when he was brought to court, he was brought on stretcher, and everybody was shocked. His family and his comrade, which was brought from Lahore jail, that since 1 month nearly, he was on hunger strike. That's why he couldn't walk into the court. So when he was brought on stretcher, immediately all his comrades in Lahore jail, they also proceeded on hunger strike. So in that hunger strike, Jatin Das, who had come to North India to train them make bombs, he has warned revolutionaries, don't go on hunger strike. Hunger strike is the most difficult thing to perform. You can kill people, you can get hanged, you can face all difficulties, but facing hunger strike is the most difficult. So he warned, he said, it's very difficult. And he warned also that if I go on hunger strike, there will be no coming back. So he was the one who was martyred on 13th September 1929, after 63 days, And in between, on 2nd September, they broke hunger strike for 2 days at the assurance of Congress people that British government is going to accept your demands. Their demands were to get recognized as political prisoners and the facilities given to political prisoners as were given in Delhi to European prisoners. They were fighting against this discrimination also. That why Europeans should be given more facilities and why Indian be given in less facilities in prison. So that was a fight for that. So immediately, since they didn't fulfill and they backed out, immediately on 4th September, they resumed hunger strike, which continued up to 4th October 1929. It completed almost 114 days. And in between, even then when the demands were accepted, they were not implemented. So get that implemented, they had another hunger strike that was, from 4th February 1930 to 20th February 1930. Another third hunger strike they performed from 28th July 30 to some date in August, about 3 weeks hunger strike. They again went. So total days of their hunger strike comes to 150 days minimum, which is 5 months. Out of 2 years in jail, he spent 5 months, he remained 5 months on hunger strike, Probably Mahatma Gandhi's total hunger strike days are less than Bhagat Singh's hunger strikes. He has performed always 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, never more than 3 weeks. If all hunger strikes are taken together as Bhagat Singh's are taken together, so maybe Bhagat Singh's hunger strike days are more than Mahatma Gandhi's hunger strike days. After that, their trial was completely farce. For that, I will recommend you to read A.G. Nurani's book, which is published by Oxford University Press, very good book. It was published way back in 1996, but Oxford published in 2005. That edition is very popular, and in that complete farcical trial, where all legal decencies were thrown to dustbin, they were sentenced to death. During this period, I may tell you, twice they were beaten so brutally. Vijay Kumar Sinha, Bhagat Singh's close comrade, has given descriptive details that how it happened. First time on 22nd and 23rd October, when the trial was being conducted in Magistrate Shri Krishna's court, and they used to sing his revolutionary songs and shout slogans in Inqilab Zindabad. That was a regular practice, and they were annoyed, magistrates, judges, they will try to stop and they will not stop. And they ordered that they to be handcuffed, and they refused to be handcuffed. And in one description, Vijay Kumar Sinha tells that 8 hefty Pathans, pumped upon Bhagat Singh. He was particular target. Bhagat Singh was a particular target, and they beat him to blue. And 2 persons, Shiv Verma and Ajay Ghosh, in one case, they got fainted. And Bhagat Singh told magistrate that you will be responsible if anything happens then. Second incident happened on 12th May 1930, when this magisterial court trial was abolished and the special tribunal was established by Viceroy Lord Irwin on 1st May 1930. That time even trial was not halfway. And this special tribunal had no appeal. It were 3 High Court judges who had all the power, even to hang them, but without any appeal to any court. So in that trial, which was boycotted literally by the revolutionaries, one-sided trial sentenced 3 people to death on 7th October 1930 and 7 people to transportation for life. Kundan Lal Gupta, 1 person to 7-year imprisonment, and the youngest of them, Prem Dutt, who rose to be a professor of history in Punjab University, Chandigarh later, and he retired from there in 1971, and there is no information till now after he migrated to America when he died, So Prem Dutt has actually thrown a chappal on Jagpal, which has become a prover. He was the youngest of them. That is the provocation for, judges and this policeman to pounce upon them. Now, after this, death sentence, Bhagat Singh didn't want to make any appeal, nothing of the sort. But Vijay Kumar Sinha convinced him, his lawyers also convinced him, to file an appeal in Privy Council to get more time for publicity. Bhagat Singh told Vijay Kumar Sinha, देखो भाई फांसी टलनी नहीं चाहिए. The execution must not be stopped. However, for political advantage, we can take time. And when this movement, Bhagat Singh Defence Committee, was formed, there were huge processions in all cities, even in South at that time. In those days, Hindu, you can find out those things. In Calcutta, everywhere, And there were, I have seen in Teen Murti, at least petitions signed by 2 lakh people submitted to Viceroy to waive off the death sentence. Everything was to be, ignored, and Bhagat Singh, etc., wanted to take such time to make themselves more and more popular among the Indian people and make Indian people hate British colonial regime because of all these things. And in this succeeded like anything. On 12th February 1931, the Privy Council dismissed their appeal. D.N. Pritt, the famous British lawyer, has represented these people. And 27th February 31, the detailed judgment was given. So after, 27th February, the process of execution started. Then Britishers wanted that they should be hanged in a way that people do not come to know, at least for one day. So the date was fixed for 24th March, but the secret instructions were sent to jail authorities to hang them on 23rd March evening at 7 o'clock. Nowhere in the world has ever happened. This is a standard practice all over the world, that prisoners or executed persons who have been sentenced to death, they are executed in the morning, whether 6 o'clock or any time. But this is the only case in history, probably in most of the countries, that they were hanged at 7 o'clock in the evening. That is the kind of thing. And how he used, jail period to forming himself into a brilliant intellectual. Every week, whenever the family person will go to meet him, they will go with a bag full of books. And if you read his jail notebook, which is nothing except notes taken from the books which he read, except there are about 30 pages, which he has his own notes. He wanted to probably write a book, The Science of the State, from primitive communism to socialist Soviet state. He has taken notes from Roman polity. You can see Greek polity, Roman polity, and medieval period and modern period, etc. And he was studying law and also jurisprudence of the world. So how this has, that's how actually Bhagat Singh has not engaged any lawyer. He presented his own case in the court. So that is the kind of thing. And from that thing, which some writing, let me now come to his ideas. I think we have completed his storyline. And on 23rd March when they had gone to gallows, what was the scene on that day? So a day before, his lawyer Prannath Mehta had come to see him, and he demanded whether you have brought my book or not. And that book was Revolutionary Lenin. Probably it was his biography. And next morning, 23rd morning, 10 o'clock, he gave him his book, and he was reading that book. And around noon, he was told, one of his admirers, Warder Kartar Singh, old man, a very faithful Sikh, he said, Bhagat Singh, to please read Guru Granth Sahib and do this thing. So he said, I respect you a lot, but I do not want to die as a coward. I am an atheist, and I have remained all through my life atheist. While dying, if I take the name of God or, do any religious ceremony, I will be considered as a coward, because someone during jail period has taunted him also, that we will see when you go to gallows, where your atheism goes. So he said, I cannot betray my own ideas. And the last desire which he expressed was to have his last food from Bebe. And who was Bebe? Bebe was a Boga named Dalit Karamchari, Dalit Bhangi from community, who used to, clean, etc. So they would say that it's the mother who cleans the dirt of the child, and it's you, the Bhangi man, who cleans the dirt of the men. So your status is like Bebe, like mother. So he said, I want to have the last food from him. And that man was crying. I said, I cannot do that. You are a high caste person, and they said that I cannot commit this sin. So he said, we love you, and etc. etc. So had his food from Boga, Bebe, and they went to gallows, all three arms in arms, and singing slogans and singing songs. And the song, which two lines are generally referred, मर के भी न मिटेगी मेरे वतन की खुशबू, मेरी मिट्टी से भी खुशबू वतन आएगी. This was the song which they were singing, and Inqilab Zindabad. And they refused to cover their faces by black cloth, which is the general practice. They threw it away, and it is recorded by many people that they had threw away the black cloth. He said, we are not criminals. And he told the British magistrate that, Mr. Magistrate, you have the privilege to see how an Indian patriot goes to gallows laughingly, happily, And then they took their, gallows on in their own neck, and that's how the whole story ended. But after that, his writings were being published during his lifetime, and his most major writing got published within 1 year of his execution also. This Why I'm an Atheist was published on 27th September 1931 in the People, which is just 6 months, this first birth anniversary. His letter to young political workers of 2nd February 1931, which gives a whole communist program, which how to make revolution, how to make mass organization, how to organize peasants, which demands to take, what will be the course of revolution. This is a sort of program, and that was also published by People, Bhavishya, Abhyuday in Hindi. Still then, after few years, by mysterious kind of conspiracies, they were reduced to brave young men. And their faces were distorted, particularly Bhagat Singh's face was completely distorted. The real 4 photographs, now I will show you the real photographs also. So, and after the execution, the mass meeting was being held at the Lahore prison. Hundreds of thousands of people there. It was about to disperse. That K. Santanam, who was living close to Lahore jail, he informed Bhagat Singh's father that, because he heard slogans from inside jail, Inqilab Zindabad, etc., that it seems that they have been executed. Then immediately people, again, and British were so scared that they cut the bodies into pieces and put into sacks, and in the back gate of the jail, they took them in a truck towards Kasur. This is 60 kilometers from Lahore. During this Soniwala border, even beyond Kasur. And when people came to know, hundreds of people, led by Lala Lajpat Rai's daughter Parvati Bai and Bhagat Singh's sister Amar Kaur, they followed by walk, and about 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning of 24th March, when they reached there, British policemen just ran away, scared that people will attack them. And they had burnt them by putting some kerosene oil, insufficient, logs, etc. And people picked up the half-burnt bones from there and brought it back to Lahore. And it was on 24th March evening when the 3 buyers were taken out. Thousands of procession. Lahore was on complete strike on 24th March, and they were properly cremated on Ravi banks in Lahore on 24th March evening, where earlier Lala Lajpat Rai was cremated. So these are myths which have been perpetuated. Bhagat Singh neither birthplace is in India, nor his cremation is in India. This land also, they were acquired from Pakistan, just 2-3 marlas near the border, because here the bodies were burnt in a most indecent manner. Their decent burial was in Lahore, Ravi Bank. Naujawan Bharat Sabha has decided to erect a memorial. Shushila Ghosh, Bijay Kumar Sinha's sister, she had issued an appeal for funds to build a memorial. Then Congress again played a trick. Because his father was a Congress activist, he was pressurized that to stop these young boys, Naujawan Bharat Sabha, not to do this, because Congress on its own will build a memorial to these martyrs at Ravi Bank, Lahore, which was never built. Had the memorial been built, I can assure you the Indo-Pak relations would have been better. There are certain factors which helps in such things. And because Pakistan people love Bhagat Singh like anything. So that was not built. And later on, when this all things were getting published, after a few years, and everybody recognized that he is a very prominent thinker revolutionary, they covered his thinker revolutionary aspect and just put him a bomb throwing, pistol shooting revolutionary, brave man, and all types of conservative rightist groups tried to appropriate him, cooking up stories that he met Balasaheb Devras in Nagpur. Total lie, which never happened. And even today, there are certain people who call themselves Bhagat Singh Krantikari Sena and who tried to defend killing in Dimapur by the law. So these are the people who were trying or Bhagat Singh. Incidentally, Bhagat Singh was very conscious and cautious. On paper, he wrote everything, that so that his ideas or his personality could not be distorted later. And today, when there is a big fight, I was told by a BBC correspondent last night, he was interviewing on phone, that yesterday there was a fight between ABVP and some other leftist group who was trying to celebrate Bhagat Singh Day and trying to, So these kind of things, which now Bhagat Singh's name is, creating, prime ministers are trying to, going to and pay tributes, but murdering his thoughts, but, suppressing his thought. So basic thing from you young people is to know Bhagat Singh through Bhagat Singh. I always tell people, I am accused of being a leftist. Even these rightist people accused that this Why Am I an Atheist is not Bhagat Singh's own writing, it has been interpolated. Now the book which I have gifted for APU, you young people should see that. I have reproduced the scanned copy of first publication of 27 September 1931, in which Lala Firozchand, editor of the journal, has written 2 lines which were not earlier produced by anyone, that this document and some other documents were received by us from Sardar Kishan Singh, father of Bhagat Singh, and the copyright lies with him. Now, that establishes the authenticity of the documents. So you cannot say that someone else has done it. So I would rather ask you young students to read Bhagat Singh through his writings. And his writings are available, complete writings are available in Hindi, in Urdu. The latest updated version is in Urdu, and Marathi, many in English, many in Tamil, many in Bengali, many in all languages, But complete are available, most updated in Urdu. Hopefully, I am trying that in English version comes within this year. If English version comes, maybe lot many other languages will get it. So the complete writing of Bhagat Singh is the best way to know Bhagat Singh, through him. Neither accept rightist interpretation nor accept even my leftist interpretation. If I am accused as a leftist, so my interpretation should not be accepted without, testing. So this was Bhagat Singh's own, thing, that everything should be tested on the reason. Without reason, nothing should be accepted, even if it's said by your father, if it's said by your teacher, if it's said by your close friend, blindly. Never accept anything blindly. Accept everything with critical reasoning. If you find it appealing to your mind, not to your heart, then accept it, or whatever way. So I think I should stop here, because about ideas I have already spoken. His socialist perception, his I will just refer to 2-3 articles. One is Achut Ka Sawal. This he wrote in Punjabi, the issue of untouchability, in which he has addressed Dalits as loins. The concluding was, you are the loins, snatch your rights, never beg for your rights, snatch your rights. That's why Dalit movement loves Bhagat Singh almost as much as they love Ambedkar. They don't accept any other nationalist leader, but they accept Bhagat Singh as their own. 2 articles on communalism, that is Sampradayak Dange aur unka ilaj, Firqa Prasti ate usda ilaj, and Mazhab ate Sadi Azadi di Jang, religion and our freedom struggle, and communal rights and its resolve, where he has blasted these communal forces who had been provoking communal rights way back since after 1857, but that time reference was cohort riots. There was a huge riots, communal riots in Kohat near Peshawar in 1924. Referring to those riots, he said these bloody communal forces are the enemies of the country, and you must avoid these forces at all costs. So, against communalism, against caste system, equal rights for Dalits and equal rights for workers, peasants, women, of all people, and a socialist state. That was the ideal and ideas of Bhagat Singh. And relevance, in just few words, you can very well see the relevance. if people, peasants are still fighting for their rights, whether it's on land acquisition bill or so, you can see the 100-year-old condition against which Bhagat Singh's uncle, even Ajit Singh, was fighting. And much more was Bhagat Singh, which he has developed his own uncle's ideas to much higher level to get, the socialist. Till the time exploitation ends, till the time workers and peasants gets their rights to their labor, till the time the struggle for Bhagat Singh's ideas is on, and they are much, much more relevant today than even in his own time. Thanks a lot. Yeah, you are now questions, discussion, comments, everything is welcome.
Comments are even more welcome.
Yeah, there is.
I come from Calcutta.
Let me show you.
In Calcutta, there is a Punjabi community. I come from Calcutta, and in Calcutta there is a Punjabi community, and I came to ask them, when did you settle here? And very strange story they said, and this is about the ship Kamagata Maru,
Yeah.
which was not allowed to enter into Calcutta, and they were stopped at a place called Bajbaj. And from there, these Sikh people who were revolting against the rule, they left the ship and they were walking towards Kolkata, at which time they were fired upon. It was around that time, the family I met, they said that our people we know were in the Kamagata Maru, and we heard that they had landed in Bajbaj. So we came to search for them to Kolkata. This is the first batch of the Punjabi settlement was around that time. And they were already radicalized. So about this Kamagata Maru incident had, because he said about Jallianwala Bagh and all that, did he? And other thing, I believe that Maulana Hazrat Mohani, I think he moved the first resolution for complete independence in Ahmedabad in 1921, and it was defeated. Isn't it so?
I'm not sure about that, but it could be, probably it could be. Yeah, your Kamagata Maru incident happened on 29th September 1914, and its centenary is still going on. Lot Mary seminars have been held, one in IIT Kharagpur also, twice this has been held. And incidentally, Baba Gurdit Singh, who was the sort of hero and spirit of Kamagata Maru, who was actually charting that ship, Baba Gurdit Singh, Netaji Subhash Bose, Rafi Ahmed Kidwai, all these people have met Bhagat Singh, attended the court on 19th October 1929, a day before they were beaten up. And Baba Gurdit Singh remained underground for many years. Later on, he came out and he had joined Congress also. And in fact, there is a very interesting, narration that they, in the court, they wished Netaji and all these people. So they said, our national leaders have come. And they said, would you please allow to have a meeting with them? So magistrate refused that we cannot, I cannot allow the meeting. So, but Netaji and Gurdit Singh, etc., they stayed in the court for 2-3 hours on that day. In fact, that is the day when this Punjab Student Conference was held in Lahore. So Bhagat Singh has sent a message. Probably it's possible that he might have put the message in Subhash Bose's pocket itself, because Subhash Bose has presided over that conference in Lahore, and where Bhagat Singh's message was read, and it was said, from where this message came. When a man in jail and he is sending political messages and he is telling students to do this and to do that, so that it came by telescope. So it is kind of, became like that. So Baba Gurdeep Singh, yeah. I do not know Kamagata Maru reference, I do not find in Bhagat Singh's writing, but definitely not all things are put into writing, but this must have been known to them very well.
What was Gandhi's role in this entire episode? I mean, can you throw some more light on the role of Gandhi while all these things were happening?
You see, Mahatma Gandhi, he has his own convictions. He was against violence, His book, Hind Swaraj, perhaps you know or not know, it was written after Madanlal Dhingra was hanged in England in August 1909. This Hind Swaraj came up, I think, in 1910. It was a kind of debate with revolutionaries, because he was always thinking that through violence we cannot get anything, etc., etc. So about this movement also, there is a lot of debate why Gandhi didn't save Bhagat Singh, etc., etc. I do not want to go into that debate, because that debate is sterile. Actually, they had two parallel lines. Gandhi's concept of independence was different from Bhagat Singh's concept of independence. There were two, in a way, there has a very little convergence, but complete divergence. So that they were for socialist revolution, as was in Soviet Union, absolutely clear. And Gandhi was for a sort of protecting the interests of Indian capitalists, Indian feudal lords, and even the British colonial interest. Because British colonial interests were in the forms of, Dr. Chatterjee is here, he knows very well. There are tea gardens, there were tea gardens, there are all the petrol pumps. They were not nationalized till 70s. Till 70s, British capital was completely protected in India. There was no financial loss to British colonialism when they left India. They wanted to leave at a time and in those hands which will not harm their financial and economic interests. And that is what happened with the transfer of power. So many people, when they say that it's transfer of power and not independence, the reason behind this is that system was not changed. The same system continued. Actually, some things are worse. I have been giving an example. These IPCs, etc., Indian Penal Code, etc., there are British-made laws. Indian state has not made any laws of their own. In Pakistan, Bangladesh, and India, all the British laws are still continuing. What kind of free state it is? The state which cannot make its own laws. They have changed very few laws, not even 10%, maybe 5%. And some of the laws which they have created themselves, they are much worse than British colonial laws. The MISA, WAPA, the kind of acts which they are using now. So Gandhi personally didn't live a very simple life. So, and it goes to Gandhi family credit also. Gandhi family had earned no bad name in any manner. None of them is third generation grandsons, great grandson. None of them one can call corrupt. One can call a sort of, people who have earned a lot from the political system. Nothing of the sort. They'll have lived there. And they have certain integrity still continuing in that family. He has his own integrity, but his idea, which is actually Bhagat Singh, etc., they always addressed Gandhi with respect. Mahatma Ji, they never addressed him with insult, which sometimes today's young radicals do. He never did that. He said, unse seekhna bhi chahiye. They learned that this mass following, how he has got lakhs of following behind him. So they wanted to learn from that part also, that how to get people follow them also in mass following. But they used to tell कि महात्मा जी ये आपके आदर्श जो है ना ये किसी काम के नहीं है. Your ideals are of no use. They cannot be practiced. They cannot be put into practice, and which has been proved in the last 60, 70 years. Neither Nehru could practice Gandhi's laws, and this present rulers, they are the worst killers of Gandhi as well as Bhagat Singh. What they are doing? Are they protecting any of Gandhi's ideas? Was Gandhi's idea was just confined to Swachh Bharat? Was the Swachh Bharat his ideal? He has his own sort of thing which could have been much better than whatever these people are doing. At least he would not have supported the corporate control over India in this manner, and he would not have supported this kind of military kind of police control of the state also. He would not have supported, he was against death sentence in itself. And nobody is following this principle to abolish death sentence in India. So they had genuine differences. And Sukhdev, when there was a bomb on Viceroy's train in 1929, Gandhi condemned these revolutionaries by calling them not exactly terrorists, but calling them cult of the bomb. So he wrote Cult of the Bomb. Then in his own journal, which he was published in Young India or whatever, and revolutionaries, Bhakti Charan Vora particularly, he wrote Philosophy of the Bomb to counter Gandhi's views of Cult of the Bomb. And then he has the, at least honesty, to publish his counter view. He published Philosophy of the Bomb in his own paper, Young India, that this is how revolutionaries have, at least there was certain dialogue between Gandhian and Bhagat Singh, two parallel thoughts. But they were entirely different, there is no doubt about it. And that's why I never like to enter into this debate that why Gandhi did or did not save Bhagat Singh's life. Because Bhagat Singh himself was bent upon getting hanged, because he knew that by my hanging only the country can rise. So why should we unnecessarily get into this debate why he didn't save? When he told Chairperson very clearly that I can sign the appeal, but dekho bhai phansi nahi dalni chahiye. People should rise in lakhs, and when the movement is at peak for our, waiving of death sentence, that time we should be hanged, so that people get the shock that their loved one has been hanged, and now we must rise up against this colonial regime. Any more comment? You can participate in whatever way you like. So don't make it so, Bhagat Singh, let me tell you one thing. If we have some time more? Huh? No, what time we should conclude? Just now or? Because I want to.
Nothing is planned, he says.
Huh?
Because
I want to make our young students relax. I want to tell you those aspects of Bhagat Singh. He was number one, he was a very handsome young man. Women and girls loved him like anything. And
name two lovers of his here. These are young people, they would like to know.
And number three, he was just like a young man like you. He has all the habits which you have. He was so fond of films that in the queue of the, if there is a huge crowd, he was jump over everyone to get to the counter and, get the tickets. This happened for seeing film Uncle Tom's Cabin. For Uncle Tom's Cabin, let me tell you how he learned his English, He didn't know English much because he just passed 9th class. And for National College, a test was taken of him. And he cleared that test. And he was straightway admitted into FA course. Those days there were the two stages. What is FA course and what is BA course. 2 years for FA course, Faculty of Arts, or FSC, Faculty of Science, and 2-year BA course further. Now his formal education is up to FA only. So probably he did his FA and then left. But then he was reading so high sounding text, the best literature of the world. If you see the list of books which he has read from his jail notebook, you see which great writer he has read. Shakespeare, Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, Victor Hugo, take an Charles Dickens, take any name, classical name in world literature, and you will find his reference in Bhagat Singh jail notebook. And Bhagwan Das Mahar tells that he gave me once a copy of Capital to read. Now he said, "Meri samajh mein to kuch nahi aaya. I didn't get a word out of it." So now, this was one part. And then here's another part. Kanpur, they will, in Kanpur and Lahore. So the young, as you people also do, the young people will go to river banks. Either they will do boating and or chit chat. The whole night they will sing, chit chat, and he used to take part in plays. One play was seen even by Sarojini Naidu, and she was very impressed by, he played in Maharana Pratap, Bharat Durdasha, Mewad Patan, all these plays, he played. Actually this turban photo, this is taken from a drama group. So there has been taken out this photo. So he was part of the drama group which has staged this play. Then what kind of things he used to do? At Kanpur, once he saw a milkman. He was selling milk. So he said, "Give me some milk." So in UP, people take little one. So he gave him little one. So he said, "Tell me this whole bucket." So here the bucket, maybe having 5-6 kilograms of milk or 4-5. So he said, "Okay, what will you have this for this bucket?" So he was a little shocked. So he said, "Itna." तो उन दिनों तो अन्ना रुपया ही चलता था ना, 1 रुपये का होगा इतना होगा, give me this. So he took the bucket and took the whole, this thing to complete, took the whole milk. Yeah? And then in court, they were so jolly, and which was to the maximum irritation of judges. So once some of their friends, they brought rasgullas. Huh? So, they were dying, police were not allowed to give them rasgullas. So they were dying to have rasgullas. So he told magistrate, "Sir, would you have a look at this rasgullas? They are more important than our case." So he was not listening to them. So he kept on, taunting them. "Please look at rasgullas. So release the rasgullas from police for us." So this kind of thing, they will do in the court, And then what else you will do? If you read their memoirs, their comrade memoir, you will find that once what happened is, this is not related to Bhagat Singh, but Bhagat Singh comes into picture later. Rajguru, he was also a very jolly fellow. There were jokes among them, how one will be caught. It was a joke that Rajguru will be caught when he is sleeping, because he will sleep all the time. Once he was put to, at duty to see someone, and he was standing and he was sleeping. Once he missed train also while sleeping. He will be caught sleeping. Then about Vijay Kumar Sinha was told that he will be caught in a cinema house. He will be watching a film and he will be caught. And literally it happened. He was caught in a cinema house watching the film, And then once someone told, probably Rajguru or someone, that this thing is very good. It was brandy. So he said that this is a very good, you should take this. So the simple fellow, innocent fellow, he took it. And he brought there and he will take some spoons out of it. And somebody of them who was knowing, "Hey, tum shrab lekar aaye ho? Where you got this wine?" I said, No, this is not shrab, this is sehat ki dawa hai. This is a health, drink. So then they started teasing each other, And Chandrasekhar Azad was a little Puritan type. So he would not allow all this kind of things, So it was brought to his notice. So then, he got boiled. So then he was told, and then Bhagat Singh was explained in a friendly manner also. He said, "You see, what happens is that if sometime police raid comes and police capture this kind of thing, and we will get, all people will get, we are considered as a revolution. We have got such much respect. And if we get this kind of bottle captured and they publicize, oh, this revolutionary are drinking shrab, this kind of that. So that's, funny thing used to happen. So the Chandrasekhar Azad will give 4 annas for their food every day. Now these people were so fond of seeing films, so they will say, so chalo aaj roti nahi khayenge. We'll skip the lunch and we will go to see the film. And Bhagat Singh was main in these things. So he will always say, no, chalo. So ek baar bhooke reh lenge. और समटाइम चार आने की टिकट नहीं मिलती थी तो 8 आने का टिकट लेना पड़ता था 8 आने का जो 50 पैसा ऑफ टुडे सो दे विल से ओके मतलब 2 टाइम का खाना छोड़ दें बट वी विल सी द फिल्म एंड समटाइम राजाराम शास्त्री वाज देयर गुड फ्रेंड व्हाट दे विल डू इज भगत सिंह एंड सुखदेव विल गो टू हिज रूम फॉर शेल्टर then he is just, the poor man just has one cot. So, okay. So what to do? Rather than putting themselves on floor, so one will put on one side of the Rajaram, another will put on the other side of Rajaram. Then they will start squeezing. And they will squeeze him so much that the man will come up and say, I will sleep also, Baba, meri jaan chodo. And then they will, he used to eat somewhere. तो वो उसके यहाँ जाके खाना खाते हैं और वो उसकी थाली से जो है ना कटोरी से खाने लग जाते हैं तो उस पर घी वगैरह डला होता तो वो ज़बरदस्ती उठा के जो है खा जाते हैं बट दोज ऑल दीज पीपल इन स्पाइट ऑफ दिस ऑल इरिटेशन दे हैव पुट देयर मैरिज इन सच लवेबल फैशन दैट दे से दैट these are such a lovable people, they are not men who have been projected by media, oh, bomb chala diya, pistol chala diya. They were jolly good people, So they were having all the habits which you people have in your young life. So it's better, to know them in their real form, not raising them to, whether by rightist or whether by others, to, skies, etc. Treat them as your friends. Yeah.
I would like to share 3 points among the normal characters of Bhagat Singh. Good evening, all of you. My name is Saurav Kumar. I am from Bhagat Singh Study Circle. I am an activist of that group. Once I was in conversation with Professor Jagmohan Singh, the nephew of Bhagat Singh, recently. So I got to know 3 things about him, what we follow in our daily life. First, when he was young, he got hurt and his rib cage got injured. And with that injury also, he was one of the best swimmers of all the groups what he formed, Naujawan Bharat Sabha or Hindustan Socialist Republic Association. He was one of the best cyclists who used to cycle for a long range, come back again, and he was, every time he was in a challenging mode to every person. He was ready to compete with anyone. Third, he was a good cartoonist, and one of the best feature of a cartoonist is to acknowledge the human nature and picturizing it. So we can have that perception that how much clear intellect he kept at that age. And the 4th point and very important point was when HSRA used to meet, and during the leisure hours, Bhagat Singh and Chandrasekhar Azad, they used to sit and discuss. As you said, Chandrasekhar Azad was a very strict person, maintaining the rules and regulations. But when Bhagat Singh acknowledged that, no, the conditions are going a bit serious and everyone is getting, losing their interest, he used to suddenly crack a joke, take a break. So by this, he maintained the environment of smiling with smiling faces and with deep discussions. So I mean to say only one thing, that he had all the qualities of what we are having in our attitude. The same attitude he was having, but the difference is the way he went ahead with having a deep knowledge of everything. And I can conclude lastly that he was first a generalist who acknowledged all the general conditions, and then he became a specialist who went to ahead for a definite set of causes. So, thank you.
let me share you with one more very fascinating, event in their life. What happened, and that will know you that how he self-taught himself also. Now, because he was reading so many things, so in one pocket there will be one book, and in another pocket there will be dictionary of English, because his English was not that great, And once one of his close friend, Jayadev Gupta, he went to him, and he wanted to see a film. And he wanted Jayadev Gupta to accompany him, because generally he would not have money. So, although he was from a rich family, but he fought with his father because his father objected to something. He stopped going home. He will eat at the hotel of one of his friend, Ramkishan. He has opened a hotel, so he will eat there. But for seeing film, he has to catch someone. So Jayadev Gupta, so one day he went to him. So he was lying. So he said, क्या हुआ? कह रहा मेरी तबीयत खराब है. उसने कहा चले यार क्या होता तबीयत को, चल फिल्म देखने चलते हैं. तो उसने कहा नहीं नहीं आई एम सो इल. तो कहता क्या हुआ तेरे को? तो उसने कहा he used the word dyspepsia. तो he said मेरे को dyspepsia हुआ. He was, he said ये साला dyspepsia क्या होता है? He took out a dictionary. So then he thought, this is a very small belly trouble, nothing else. So he gave him, तो साले मेरे साथ ये बदमाशी करता है, उठ चल फिल्म देखने. So then he took him out and they both went to see film. So these, now you can see that how he's self-taught, For everything he will refer to dictionary, and this small 5 rupee dictionary, that kind of dictionary he will be keeping this. So there, and generally Chandrasekhar Azad is considered to be more stronger built physique, but he was also a tall man, 5'8" or something. And once they, kushti, and he, put Chandrasekhar down. So everybody was stunned. So they could not imagine that anyone could put Chandrasekhar Azad down, and he did to him, So, but there is a kind of many incidents, in their very small life, 6-7 years, but they lived every moment of that. That is the kind of thing, Even the last moment, that was a kind of thing which they lived every moment. So that is what youth, actually when people say, why he is so popular? And all government, states and this, I tell that there is some fascination in youth, although they don't know him much. But there is some inherent fascination in his personality. And that fascination is because there are, these hidden things which somehow unconsciously people know. That there was something fascination about this man. And that unconscious and subconscious affect your, social life also. Even though when they don't know, and sometimes they get misguided also by the so-called projected images of bomb pistol, which is nothing in their personality. In fact, when they had killed Saunders, he told Vijay Kumar Sinha, yeah, he was such a handsome young man. They had no hatred for them. So they think that he was just a symbol of British colonialism, which was a compulsion on them to, hit them as a symbol. That if you hit us as a nation, we will also hit back, and we will not be afraid of you. So that is a kind of thing. Actually, this is what A.J. Nurani has been also writing in his books, that he is completely devoid of hatred. He didn't hate anyone. In fact, even British families living around Lahore jail, they were also fascinated by kind of personality, things were coming about him. So that is the kind of, Oh. Oh, sorry. We got so involved in narrative that I forgot to come down to pictures. Actually, I had a plan to show pictures. No, that is what I was trying to do. Just I think this is disconnected from there. This is not moving. Oh. Yeah. Now, let you actually, I wanted more people to see how this thing. You see, Bhagat Singh knew 6 languages, and he was fluent in writing in 4. And these are his handwritten letters in 4 languages. This is Urdu, and that is Hindi, that is Punjabi, and this actually is a typed English one, but I think there could be some in English also. Yeah, you can see English here. You see his handwriting. This is his signature, his own signature. And see his English writing, handwriting. He has a beautiful handwriting in English, you know. Yeah, this is the 11-year-old Bhagat Singh, 16-year-old Bhagat Singh, 19-year-old Bhagat Singh, and 20-year-old Bhagat Singh. And that is the college drama group in which you can see these 2 photos. It's standing here. This photo has been taken out of that drama group and developed into a single independent picture also. Nobody can prove, if somebody can bring another authentic photograph, I would have lot many people welcome it. But those people who are, you know, distorting his real pictures, they are enemies of us, I will say. Even governments are enemies. You see all the central government advertisements, never see any real picture. Sometime, till the time this criminal virus has not struck in society so much, this was the most popular picture. So in advertisements, government thing, everything, only this photo will come. So which was a real picture. But since the criminal virus has struck the Indian society, and the turban has become a sort of sanctified image, so rather than bringing out that turban image, which has been judicious enough to do, they have distorted his picture by yellow turban, pistols, and this and that. So that is something very, very, you know, objectionable. Nowhere in the world any real political personality's picture have ever been distorted, except Bhagat Singh picture. Now, this is his uncle, Swaran Singh, who died at the age of 24 because of he contracted, tuberculosis. His widow, Hukum Kaur, and this is Swaran Ajit Singh, and his wife, Bibi Harnam Kaur. And there you can see, here you can see Bhagat Singh's whole family. Father Kishan Singh is sitting, and Bibi Amar Kaur, his sister, is there in the picture. And very interestingly, a very interesting personality in this picture. That is fantastic, you will be surprised to know. There is Sarla Devi in this picture. Sarla Devi was niece of Rabindranath Tagore, and she was married to one of the Punjab nationalist leader, Chaudhry Rambhai Chaudhry. So Sarla Devi Chaudhrani, she is in this picture, and there is Mata Parvati Bai, mother of Rajguru. And I think younger boy sitting down is his younger brother, Kartar Singh, whose daughter is Virendra Sandhu, who has written the best biography of the family. That is in Hindi, Yug Drishta Bhagat Singh or Unke Mrityunjay Purkhe. Is the family history from his grandfather onward up to Bhagat Singh. And this is a very popular book, published by Rajpal and Sons from Delhi. But it was published by Gyanpith way back in '67 from Banaras. If anyone wants to, sometimes when you get confused by contesting interpretation, so for these things I can refer you her book for the events of her life. She is married, her own husband is a BJP supporter, but she has been fair enough to delineate Bhagat Singh life. That time she was probably not married when she wrote this book. She has delineated his ideas in a very objective fashion, that how he became Samajwadi, how he became, what his ideas, etc. So now she is very old, 75 plus, it's her young age photo. That is her father, Kartar Singh. This is Kartar Singh. He died in 2004 at the age of 85 or so. You can see these two photographs together. That young boy sitting there, small young boy, and this man. They are the same man. And Kartar Singh, when Bhagat Singh wrote to him when he was just 12-year-old, आंसू देख के 3 मार्च को मेरा दिल भर आया, मैं तुम्हारी आंखों में आंसू नहीं देख सकता, और हवा में रहेगी मेरे ख्याल की बिजली. That is the famous Urdu couplet which you find in 3rd March letter, which was written to, and he also remained dedicated to his brother all the time. He was actually minister in the UP government, ND minister at one time, MLA from Saharanpur. And this one in between, this is the ladies of the family, grandmother Jacob, mother Vidyavati, and maybe 1 or 2 aunts. Maybe again Bibi Amarkaur is sitting down, younger sister. So these are pictures, family pictures. And these are comrades pictures, comrade. Yeah. The last picture. No, yeah, further. Yeah. Oh, I clicked this. This goes to. This is Rajguru and Sukhdev, Bhaktichand Vora, Durga Bhabe, and their 2-3-year-old son at that time, Shachi Vora. Shachi Vora has also died now. He died in 2005 or so, at the age of 55 or so. This is Pandit Shorilal. He was also one of the youngest ones, along with the and they are Jaidev Kapoor, Shiv Verma, and Surendra Pandey. Chandrasekhar Azad and Mahavir Singh. Mahavir Singh was another person who died by hunger strike. He was transported for life. He was in Andaman jails, and he went on hunger strike against the oppression. And he was also pumped milk in his lungs, like Jatin Das, and he died on 17th May 1933. His family was not informed. His body was thrown into sea, and it was after many days that his family came to know. He is from Eta in UP somewhere. In fact, his family was connected by some distant relationship to Pratibha Patil. So Pratibha Patil is, and Vijay Kumar Sinha and Rajaram Shastri or Rajaram Mahor. So I think Rajaram Shastri. And Jaidev Kapoor, same Jaidev Kapoor, in the late age, he is holding Bhagat Singh's shoes and watch. This watch and shoes have a very, this watch was given to Bhagat Singh by Shchindranath Saner, the earlier Jugantar revolutionary. And the shoes Bhagat Singh had bought new one, but when he was going to throw bomb in assembly on 8th April, he said, okay, we are going to be arrested. Why waste this new shoes? So you have this new shoes, and he took his old shoes and he went with old shoes. But he preserved these shoes and watch. This watch also he gave to him. In fact, Jaidev Kapoor has played a very good role in arranging the whole assembly drama. He had a relative named Dilip Kapoor. So with Dilip Kapoor's help, some official in the parliamentary kind of thing. So he visited the whole parliament, saw the places where one can sit and all that. And sometimes even actually Bhagat Singh etc., they have also visited. And sometimes Asif Ali, no, not Asif Ali, Dr. Kichlu, Safeddin Kichlu, he was member of Assembly. He saw them. They are on some, mission. So he sent a message to them later that if you please need any help, so we are there. Matlab, that was the kind of relationship in those days between these groups. And that's all. And this I have joined with Sheikh Vera's photograph. This is my joining of these two, because they two are very close to each other in many respects, and particularly in facing death. You get very few examples of people who have faced death as these people. Just now what the phone I was getting from Seema Chishti, they wanted to publish this Bhagat Singh's 20th March letter, which was addressed to Governor, that sent us a detachment to shoot us. They wanted to get confirm that it is a scientific letter. Now, this is the man who wrote to British Lieutenant Governor of Punjab on 20th March, 3 days before his execution, that we are at war with you. So British colonialism is war with Indian freedom struggle. So we represent Indian freedom struggle. So we are war prisoners. We are not criminals. We are war prisoners. And when in war, one side is defeated or one side is prisoner taken, they are shot dead. They are not hanged. So we should be shot dead. So please send a military detachee to shoot us. That will be the fairness to us. But you know, and what was happening to Che Guevara when CIA caught him in Bolivia and they wanted to shoot him, and no one was coming forward, even there in their own army people, to shoot him. Then they caught a hold of a man, and he was given a full bottle of very hard liquor, and he consumed full bottle of hard liquor, still was shivering to shoot him. Then Che Guevara told him, "You coward, why don't you shoot me? Shoot me, coward." So that is how the both of them have faced that. And the best part of it is, which is, people attack socialism and communism and all that. That man who shot Che Guevara, he remained alive. In old age, he became blind, and it is the Cuban government which took him to Cuba and treated him. When the humanism of socialism, this is entirely different. Because they knew that this is the man who has been used by CIA. So the man himself is not responsible for shooting Che Guevara. So they showed that kind of humanity to that man. Yeah, I think there is no other photo. But when I click, it just goes away. So I'm afraid to click it now. Yeah, this is, that's I think last.